What's up, you guys? This is Kenobi with the Wiseguys coming at you with a top 32 breakdown for YCS Pasadena. Now, we have a lot of really fun information to dig into based off of the top 32 of this event, and it's going to give us an idea of perhaps thoughts that might be in Konami's mind as they're crafting a ban list. As of this video, tomorrow is November 20th. That's the first date that we might get a list. But as far as I'm concerned, winter has come and our watch has begun because we're probably not going to get a list until mid-December at the very earliest, probably January at the most realistic. We've seen what Konami's done as far as handling the ban lists have been concerned for the past year. We have no reason to believe that they're going to improve their behavior in that regard. So, guys, settle in for a long winter of Yu-Gi-Oh! You're going to need to know what happened at Pasadena in order to kind of come to grips with the shambling hordes that are descending upon us. Anyway, let's break down into the video now. The top 32 of YCS Pasadena was pretty interesting. There were 8 Sky Striker decks in the top 32. It was the most represented deck in that bunch. It was the most represented deck at 4 slots of the top 8. And ultimately, the winner, Shunping Zhu, piloted Sky Strikers, a pure variant of the deck. So that was the biggest portion of it, and it won it all. Very cool. Shout out to Shunping Zhu for your victory on that. Congratulations, my man. Next up, we had 7 Danger Dark Warrior decks. Now, while it wasn't the Dark World FTK, it was functionally an FTK based off the fact that this version of the deck focused on turboing out Rongo Miniad. The Rongo Miniad lock is as bad, if not worse in some ways, than a Burn FTK, since there's no way really to stop Rongo Miniad if it's got 6 or more materials on it. It's an FTK. Interestingly enough, though, none of those decks made it into the top 8. However, the next set, 6 Goki decks, 3 of those made it into the top 8. Now, about half of the Goki decks were dark versions of it. I'm not sure specifically if all 3 dark Goki decks made it into the top 8 or how that was split, but you can find those lists available in other places on the internet. Now, the next most represented deck in the list was actually Dark Warriors. So this is going to be another straight up Dark Warrior turbo deck. Then there were 2 Cyber Dragon decks. Interestingly enough, one of those Cyber Dragon decks actually made it into the top 8. Then there were 2 Thunder Dragon decks, which is a number I think is much lower than most people expected. And then there were 2 Trickstar decks, which is a number I think is a lot higher than most people thought would happen. In all honesty, one of them was a Sky Striker variant, probably one of the reasons why, but nevertheless, it's worth mentioning. There was also 1 Altergeist deck and 1 Pendulum deck. That's right, Pendulum Magician managed to squeak its way into the top 32. I've seen the deck list. It was pretty straightforward Pendulum Magician. So, like, clearly the person piloting that was very comfortable with their deck and knew exactly how to handle and play around the existing meta cards. So, what happened to the Dark World FTK and Thunder Dragons? Very low representation, certainly, especially for the FTK, which, as we've talked about before, is in a lot of ways one of the most insane decks ever created in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It can play through virtually anything but Droll and Lockbird and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. And honestly, that's really what happened. There's a meme going around on Facebook. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the idea that Crusadia players decided that they were going to main deck Ghost Reaper and just hit Firewall Dragon because they choose to go second anyway. And I personally thought it was pretty funny, but there's some truth to it there that the preparation that was put into people for the FTK made it easy for that number to be knocked down, which is, I think, why a lot of people shifted the Danger deck towards the Rongo Miniad Turbo, because they figured it would catch people off guard, people who had gotten used to trying to Reaper the Firewall or somehow slow the roll with a Droll and Lockbird. They were able to play around that by focusing on Rongo Miniad instead, which served as a huge problem for the players there. But unfortunately, still didn't get them into the top 8. Anyway, so ultimately it was better preparation, especially for the Thunder Dragon matchup. A lot of people learning when to hit them in what part of the combos, using Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries to hit Colossus, and just overall force that deck out of the way. I was personally surprised to see Thunder Dragon solo, especially after shout out to Team Wiseguys member Ichi in Sweden for winning that regional. Really cool. Congratulations there, man. But yeah, so the underperformance, I think, is due to over preparation. The meta definitely shifted to a way in which people were focused on playing around the FTK as well as the Thunder Dragon matchup. So that was one of the reasons why you didn't see as much representation there. But the Rongo Miniad lock and all the Dark Warrior versions, the Armageddon Knight Turbo, was such a big deal. And I think that catches people off guard, because I think a lot of us were saying that Droll and Lockbird and Winter Cherries are more important than hitting Armageddon Knight with an Ash Blossom or something of that nature. So that was an interesting turn of events as far as the metagame evolution was concerned. But what does this mean kind of going forward? I think at this point we need to recognize that Sky Striker is still the best deck. It's the best deck for the most skillful players. If you're interested in skillful Yu-Gi-Oh!, Sky Striker is going to give you that opportunity to play that way. You just have to constantly playtest Sky Strikers and get comfortable with each matchup. That's the only way that you're going to be able to play around some of these different decks that have been problematic. We've seen Sky Strikers take out Thunder Dragon. We've seen Sky Strikers stop FTKs. We've seen them be able to play around Goki, and just the most important thing to know here is just ultimately that if a more skillful player is across from you at a table at an event and they're playing Sky Striker, chances are they're going to take your head off, just because that deck is so versatile. It's with Engage, it's just able to plow through. When the card advantage stacks above +5 for a Sky Striker player, it's just, there's nothing you can do. The consistency of it just constantly proves that it is what wins games. It's what wins these really long events, is consistency. And the win here from Shinting Zhu, I think, demonstrates that better than I could ever with mere words. But, to be fair, everybody's playing around the Dark World FTK and Thunder Dragon. So, Thunder Dragon's one of the best aggro decks we've seen in a long time. FTK is stupid degenerate. And you could say that these are the best decks because everybody has to play around them or they lose. But at the same time, Sky Striker hasn't lost its effectiveness this entire time. Like, before Thunder Dragons hit, before YCS Niagara, people were talking about how Sky Striker was going to be the best deck. We were going in a slower format, very grindy, with lots of back row decks like Burning Abyss, Draco, Altergeist. All were supposed to be really good, but Sky Striker was going to be that one that stayed head and shoulders above the rest. But even in the face of the Dark World FTK, the Rongo Miniad locks, the Goki Extra Link that never went away, even when Goblin got banned, it's just like, you see all of that happening, and Sky Striker has weathered the whole thing all the way through. And that's just something that I think is really important for people to understand. I know that it's a big investment, but ultimately, if you're looking to be successful in the competitive scene, and I would recommend picking up Sky Striker and playing that deck. Just practice constantly. Play test that matchup all the time. Find people who will play you online. Find people who will play you at your locals. And just the more you prepare with that deck and the more you understand the different matchups, there's nothing that they can do to stop you. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. In the future, look forward to stuff about the potential ban list, some hopes that we have from Team Wiseguys. I think we know better than to make exact hard predictions on it. So this is going to be more like what we think would make the game better if it was banned. But that'll be coming in a future video. I'm also looking to do some videos on Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore in the future. Sitting down, talking about World Legacy, Draco, maybe even Dual Terminal, just different fun stuff. Cosmo comes to mind, and I'll be looking forward to doing stuff like that. We want to try to create a lot of really cool content for the YouTube page going forward, and we want to make sure that you guys are all a part of that as we continue to grow and go onward and upward. So thank you guys very much for watching this video, and until next time, please take care of yourselves, guys. Thank you very much.